It's Tacked or Dead. It's Friday, 28th of October. How's everybody doing? On my way into town this morning, I thought I would run my mouth about two or three small things. Number one, we're about a week and a half, a little less than a week and a half away from the midterm elections here in the U.S. And there's panic among some of the Democrats. And there's a little bit of hand-wringing that's going on with it. The Democrats are they're trying anything they can to hold on to their power. And they're saying, oh my Lord, if we don't get reelected, there ain't going to be no more funding for Ukraine. Well, guess what, folks? First of all, I just don't trust that Republicans are going to back off of the Ukraine deal. So many Republicans are willing to jump on and support the Biden crime family's war in Ukraine. The war that was basically started by Barack Obama back in 2014, but we won't get into all that this morning. There are so many Republicans that are willing to piss your tax dollars down a black hole where it's never going to be seen, where it's all going to go into pockets of people with last names like Zelensky, Biden, Pelosi, those people, Schumer. Those are the folks that are benefiting from all this. It goes directly into their pockets. A lot of it's getting funded back into the Democrat Party. And they're really worried that, or at least they pretend to be worried, that if they lose the election, which it does look like probably the House of Representatives will flip, the Senate is a big question mark at the moment. They're worried that their pet project in Ukraine is no longer going to be funded. And like I say, I'm not convinced that the Republicans will cave on that. I'm hoping they will. We got no business sending my money, your money, everybody else's money to Ukraine to be wasted. And all our money that we're sending to Ukraine is doing is getting Ukrainians killed. Let's be 100% honest about that. If we had not sent money, a lot of these kids would not be in uniform. A lot of these old men would not be in uniform. Ukraine has just basically came out this week and said, if you are 60 or under, expect to be in a uniform. This is not the actions of a winner. We'll go over that nonsense again. Winners don't act like that. That's not typical for winners. So there's another thing that's looming that's connected to the war in Ukraine that I think is going to fall apart for Biden, if not during the election, shortly after. Is apparently now there is a deficit of diesel fuel in the United States. And I'm hearing it being reported by several different people. The unfortunate thing is one of the factors they aren't discussing is probably the most important. They always go on about, well, your life touched by diesel, poor people, that's what basically fuel is for heating. Poor folks have oil furnaces. And you ride buses and public transportation, and your kids get on school buses that are powered by diesel more than likely. The one thing that I don't hear people talking about that they really ought to talk about is there is nothing in your grocery store. There is nothing in your Walmart. There is nothing in that shopping mall that you go to that is not transported by diesel. Now, let's flash back a couple of years ago to the height of the COVID hysteria. And you remember people getting irate about toilet paper, that they could not buy toilet paper, that they were going ape shit, beating each other over toilet paper. We're about to see the same sort of thing if this diesel deficit continues or manifests itself to be greater, because it doesn't matter how many goods you have, if you can't get them to market, you have no access. Now, there may be a toilet paper plant in West Texas if you live in New York City, that West Texas toilet paper is probably not getting to your house. Now, you got potatoes that are grown in New England and you live in Georgia. Those potatoes are not going to be put on a truck and moved. If you've got fruit from California that's going to spoil easily and quickly, and you don't have the means to transport it to your markets, it means your fruit is going to rot. And it's great and handy and dandy that you need to run down to Walmart for bread or feminine hygiene products or I don't know, socks, and the stuff isn't there. Well, you're not going to get it. And it's funny. Well, I'll just order it and have it delivered to my house through Amazon. Yeah, those Amazon trucks, the FedEx trucks, the UPS trucks, those all run from diesel. Yes, diesel, the diesel that we are in a deficit of. Not to mention that for those delivery trucks to get out there, all those items have to be placed on a semi truck that, guess what, runs on diesel. So when we're talking about this diesel crisis, that's going to affect everybody, folks. And I can't help but think that we got a practice run during COVID. There's so many people that want to try to say that COVID was a fraud and everything else, and we all stayed at home and there was nothing to do, and I'll tell you what, if we don't have diesel running, there's going to be a lot more people sitting at home, and you're not going to have certain essential employees like, I don't know, guys that produce medical equipment and stuff like that. I don't know that they're going to be able to play that game that you're essential and you have to go to work. And even if you can go to work, how are you going to get there? Because I will tell you this much, if diesel goes up, people are going to try to bring out modes of transportation that go in gasoline, and that's going to make gasoline prices go up. And all these petroleum items are tied to crude oil. Diesel is tied to crude. Gasoline is tied to crude. Kerosene. Yes, kerosene. Kerosene's going up, folks. I haven't bought kerosene lately. I like having a little bit of kerosene sitting around in case the power goes out. And the wind is up and I can't run the wood stove because where I'm at, the wind coming off the mountain will come right down my chimney and blow smoke back in my house when it gets above a certain wind gust. So I go ahead and shut the wood stove down and I use kerosene. Well, folks, I haven't bought kerosene yet. Yep, me, Mr. Semi-Prepper, and coming into winter without buying kerosene. Now, I hear all sorts of horror stories about how much the kerosene is costing. We'll see. But, folks, keep an eye on the election. Keep an eye on diesel. And just pay attention to what's going on around you. I think the last thing any of us want coming off COVID, we're approaching 3 years since all that shit broke. We really are. And I think we all thought that after COVID, the giant kick in the nuts that was to the economy and to our life, that we thought we'd get back out and we'd be able to go on and move forward. Well, it doesn't look like that's going to happen with the pet project, the war in Ukraine, which is doing nothing but wasting our money and depopulating Ukraine. The next generations of Ukrainians, well, not even just the next, some previous generations of Ukrainians are being decimated on the battlefield because we won't allow the war to end. The war would be over by now if we weren't pumping money in. It's just that simple. The Ukrainian army, equipment-wise and manpower-wise, that existed on the first day of war back in February no longer exist. It's gone. It's done. out of here, finished, done, gone, right? And because we have pumped in tons and tons of money, we have reconstituted a Ukrainian army full of untrained people using 18, 19 different types of equipment that nobody was proficiently trained on. And we're allowing the Ukrainians to be used as cannon fodder because, well, we don't like Putin. We don't like Putin. We don't like this. We don't like that. And heaven forbid that any other country on this planet wants to make their way without involving the United States of America, because that's not allowed, because we must be the center of it all. So anyhow, folks, I need to run in here and do a few things. I'll talk to y'all later.